Hello, welcome to this webinar recording of what my experience has been like changing my relationship with alcohol and how I believe my program can help you or people in your restaurant, maybe your staff or your coworkers, maybe just yourself. I believe that when we change ourselves, others tend to change around us because if they see an up leveling or a positive change or experience in someone, they want to know what that is. Don't you? Have you ever noticed, like, when somebody's really confident in something or feeling positive or joyous, you're like, what is it? What do they have? How can I get that? So often, if we just make these changes within ourselves, especially as restaurant leaders, we can facilitate the culture change around us that we are desiring. So a little bit about me. My name is Pam, and I have been in the restaurant industry off and on almost my whole life. I started when I was 14 in a bakery and worked at a fast food kind of burger place, went on to study psychology, and then was paying my way through graduate school in counseling psychology and in restaurants, waiting tables, and then decided to just go all in on the restaurant business and managed to work my way up through the ranks of waiting tables to becoming an assistant manager, assistant general manager, and then a general manager. And through all of that and different experiences, of course, I started drinking more and more. In the restaurant industry, it's just so available. It's like, I remember one restaurant where it was like this extremely wealthy guy would come in, he rode in on his motorcycle, had leather caps on, he was very fancy, and he would buy the entire staff shots of Louis the 13th. You know what that is. Very expensive. And that was like in the middle of a shift, and our owner was right there. He didn't care. And that that wasn't really my first restaurant gig, but like my third or fourth one, with some major drinking increasing over time through this sort of 10-year period of just checking out different restaurants, working around town. And that was pretty much, the gist of everywhere I worked. That was allowed. After work, you would have a glass of wine while you did your checkout. That was your shift drink. You got one, we only get one, why don't we get two? And if you were friends with the manager or owner and was really casual, just drink as much as you want, a whole bottle of wine. This really progressed for quite a while, and I finally decided that maybe I had had enough. And this was due to my own health, and then also experiencing a serious relationship with somebody who considers themselves an alcoholic and had real problems, went to rehab a couple of times, just really struggled. And I that was kind of my, like, one of my key turning points, because I didn't want to basically turn out like him. Like, I imagined being homeless. I imagined being on the street asking for money. I could see him being that way, and even, being married to that person, like, that could be me. That could be us as a couple. Like, I really saw the spectrum of what could be, and I started to become more conscious of what I was doing and why I was doing it. And it was certainly no perfect paved, linear road. It was very bumpy, as life is. Life is really a roller coaster, but hey, it's fun. It's a fun roller coaster, this life thing. And probably really my final, there was no big moment. I decided I didn't want to hit rock bottom and hit that moment. I mean, honestly, my third DUI was a pretty bad moment when I was in jail, and honestly woke up and didn't remember anything. Didn't remember getting pulled over. didn't really remember any of it. It kind of came back to me after a little while, seeing video from my attorney and different things. But that was that was a pretty big turning moment. And for some people that probably would be rock bottom. And I honestly didn't drink and drive much after that. Never like that wasted again. I don't know that I've ever even been that wasted since that night. But I did, another kind of turning point where I consciously decided I need to watch it. I need to cut back. And I would cut back and I would say in my mind, okay, I'm not going to drink and drive. I'm not going to drink more than this. I made a lot of rules that would work sometimes, but I would usually break them. Say I'm only going to have 2 or 3 drinks and have 5 or 6. I'm going to not drink so I can drive home and not spend the night with a friend. That didn't happen many times. Thankfully, I had good friends that I could spend the night with. But then when I started doing life coaching, when I decided I was done with the restaurant industry, I had double knee replacement surgery. My body was just like, this is not for you. It was like really had a message for me, a couple of them. And I decided to leave the restaurant industry, get back to my counseling roots, and got my certification in life coaching. And wow, I loved it so much. It resonated so much with me. I thought, really been missing out. And through that process, I again took a kind of the next level of not drinking and really wanting to cut back even more just to see what I was capable of. That was really, I went through a phase where I would take full months off at a time just to see if I could do it. And I did. But then sometimes I would not make it that whole month, or I would cheat a little bit here and there. And often I would get down on myself and be very negative about it. But overall, I did cut back a lot, and I couldn't imagine going back to how I was before. Some of that has to do with age. Some of it had to do with living more consciously and wanting to really experience life, like all of life, all of the feelings, instead of numbing out with alcohol. So, and that's been, again, a roller coaster because some of those feelings didn't feel great. So I often wanted to have a drink so I didn't have to feel that. Often those feelings were just awkward, social awkwardness. And I didn't really think I had social awkwardness. And really the reason I didn't think I had social awkwardness is because would have a drink before I would go out. I would have a drink immediately and get that kind of relaxed, easy feeling. And then I was fine. So now I have social anxiety. I have a little bit. And that's probably been one of the hardest things for me, is to not have a drink around other people who are drinking. Now I find that it's not just everybody necessarily, but if there's alcohol around and other people are drinking, it still is like a deep-seated pressure within me to be with the crowd, be with the tribe. And that really comes, I believe, what I've learned about the brain is that we have this lower brain, and then we have our prefrontal cortex, and our lower uninvolved brain. That's our primitive brain that still, has not caught up with the life that our society and culture and human race has gotten to. It is wanting to be part of the tribe for survival. If you get away from the group, you are more likely to be killed back then by the being hunted, or by a tiger or a bear or whatever. And so that's still realizing that that's still ingrained in us as human species, and that it's not just me, helps me to feel better and more empowered about not being perfect and not getting it right all the time. So that's part of my story as well. There's no great turning moment. Is this a slow and steady process that I've done? But through it, I have realized that I want to help other people to get to either this place where I am, or to get to wherever they want to be. And this brings me to the program that I'm starting. And it's a very individual program, although I would like to have a group where we all can come together and support one another, share our struggles. I really would like this to be for restaurant people because there's all the extra layers of drinking that it's right there and available. There's we work different hours. We work usually long hours. We work on our feet. There's just a different mentality and different pressures and experiences that we have being in the restaurant business with alcohol that I think it would be very beneficial for us to share with one another. So a group possibly will be part of that, but otherwise it's very individual. There's coaching. You have two options to be coached every week or every other week, really depending on what level you're at with your drinking, how much you want to change, how deep you want to go with this. Maybe you're just wanting to level up a little bit where you want to control your drinking a little bit more and you don't really see it as a huge problem, but you have bigger dreams and your body's just like kind of starting to say, I don't want this so much. Or maybe you are just really feeling like you can't kick the habit you've tried and it just is wearing you down. Maybe there's other issues that are going along with that are really keeping you from stopping. Maybe you have a lot of stress from working in the restaurant industry right now. I know that can be with staffing issues. If you are working in a restaurant, you're probably working really hard overtime, extra shifts. If you're a server, maybe you're taking bigger stations. They're asking you to manage. Maybe as a manager, you're picking up serving shifts or trying to manage the staff that you have and actively trying to find more staff when you're also trying to run the restaurant. It is a lot, or can seem like a lot. And so I can help with those surrounding issues as well. So maybe it is weekly coaching. And then also I will be sharing some videos each week. What I really believe is beneficial to changing your relationship with alcohol are three things. One is that community that I was just talking about, having the support. Two is your breath work and moving your body, which basically when you're learning all these new habits, like how the habit forms, which is the third part of the brain, you need to embody that and really let it sink in. And also moving your body releases good endorphins. So when you're not having that drink and getting that first buzz, that hit of dopamine that feels so good, it's good to do something else that's going to bring positive hormones into your nervous system. And breath work, I believe it can be really important and helpful when you're in the moment in situations where you want to say no and you're feeling like extremely anxious, you're feeling like that cognitive dissonance, like you're like fighting your brain. Your body's like, give me the alcohol, and your brain's like, no, you can't. And you just feel completely torn, which is just making it more stressful and making you want to have that drink even more. And so what you can do in the moment is breathing techniques that I will teach you. And I will teach you some yoga as well. This isn't like full-blown yoga training or yoga classes, but it's specific yoga that I believe helps with breathing in your body. And also with being in the restaurant business, we use certain muscles, backs, our holding trays. So like sometimes it's one shoulder or the other. If you're in the kitchen, it's your hands. I've got a great pose that really helps with like carpal tunnel and the stiffness in your hands. Different stretches that will help you to feel physically better. And so instead of like going out and drinking, maybe you can come home and unwind by doing some yoga and breath work. Sorry, it's so beautiful outside today. I'm just doing this, so sorry about the background noises. And so yeah, the breath work and the yoga poses, you can relax this way and unwind instead of having to have a drink. But I think the number one important thing is using your brain to not only understand how the habit got started, how you got started, why, and how it's so difficult to stop because of brain chemistry, and that you have never been taught the right way to do it, a better way to do it, and a societal, pressure to drink and to not tell the truth about alcohol, and to say, especially with AA, that if you're to say that some people are alcoholics and some people just can't handle their alcohol is bullshit, because alcohol is an addictive substance. Anybody can get addicted to it. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you have a normal brain. If you don't get addicted to alcohol, then I would worry there's something kind of wrong with you. If you don't like feel that, relaxation and all that dopamine hit when alcohol comes to you, there's like maybe your brain's messed up. But honestly, we dive deep into the science of it, to understand it, help you realize it's not your fault, and that there's a different way to come around and learn about it and get you back on track and teach you how to quit for good, to actually lose the desire, to not feel like you are just having to quit for the rest of your life. Like, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to be like, oh, this is all about quitting. I'm either never going to have fun again in my life, or I'm going to just have this horrible problem forever. So those are sort of the three areas. So basically what I was saying a long time ago was, I'm going to share videos weekly that will teach you breath work, teach you some yoga, stretching, and teach you about the brain and the science of it. And then plus on top of that, get the life coaching that you need to work through the individual unique triggers that you have, how the habit started, how to really help you quit, with plans and accountability. So it's a 16-week program. That's I think how long it will take to really make a big difference in your life. There's certainly room for more after that, but I would really love to see people jump in and start at the 16 weeks and see what kind of difference they can make in that amount of time. And then always can renew and make a plan for another few months or year, or wherever, depending on where you are in your journey. So that is really my spiel. I would love to meet with you in person if this is something that you would like to experience yourself, or if you think this could be a benefit for your staff, as many smaller restaurants can't afford to pay for insurance for their staff. Maybe some larger restaurants too don't pay the full amount of insurance. So a lot of employees don't have insurance, that this could really double or be a benefit to your staff that you can offer, even for hiring, saying, hey, if you come on here, we have this kind of culture where we want to help you with your mental health, your emotional health, and this is the kind of atmosphere we encourage, self-development and leadership skills. Will help you really to help yourself. And so it could be where maybe you pay part of the fee and the employee pays part of it. Maybe you pay for all of it. We can discuss those things further, but I just want to offer that as another sort of package deal for you that could benefit your staff. And this also can benefit you as a manager, owner, or, your team even. So I hope that you enjoyed this short 20-minute spiel about how I changed my relationship with alcohol, how and why. And if you're interested, I would highly encourage you to get a hold of me at pam@theresilientrestaurateur.com, excuse me, or at 816-519-1628. Reach out, email me, and I hope that along with this video, maybe I've sent you a link to a sales page where you can look at the information a little bit more. There'll also be a link to set up an appointment. And I have so much hope for you and your restaurant and your journey. If you have any questions, just want to chat, send me an email and let's connect. Okay. Hope you have a great day. Cheers.